I gotta start off by saying thank you, God. This is something I need to say, and I need to say that as much as I can while I can, because I know it's gonna be a time when I won't be able to. I'm able to see this low life where they are because of God, especially the way they've been demasked, the way reality has been just imposed onto them, regardless of whatever they do to deflect, to distort. It's just too much. So when I see this trash, I truly see them for the low life that they are. That's why they don't want to be seen anymore. And just nastiness. I'm just asking God to give me strength too, because it's easy to find aggression. You know, these people are doing some of the foulest things, but it doesn't take much. The level of ability of this technology and sophistication gives the luxury for anybody to partake, and really very very little bravery or effort in the sense of like even being visible. So you have some of the most cowardly human on life, childlike people who are contracted at this point to even just agitate you like children, right? For me, I just ask that they don't do that in front of me, because I will not react in a way that they think. They stay in character, right? They maintain this character. They are gimmicks. They are living life as a gimmick right now. They think the more they act, the more it's going to feel like I'm going to be identifying with this technology and what it's able to do, right? This want to stay in character is the kind of people that think that if they act accordingly, reality is going to be distorted in that fashion. I'm not doing that. I'm not even giving them that luxury. They know that. They've tried to play that in front of me. I was like, they don't fucking play. I remember a child tried to. I was like, don't even do this, please. Don't. I know this. I know what this is about. Do that over there. Open the door, slam the door, say what you need to say. Play your game over there. Be the gimmicks that you are. But in front of me, reality is reality. Now, I understand reality truly for what it is, and I understand that there's nothing I can do. I'm powerless in this sense, because I'm a guinea pig in this program where they're using human subjects as test subjects. I know this is happening to men, women, and children. I know this is true, and I know trash like you can partake in your pajama, do the worst thing to people. I understand that. I know you're just a bottom feeder. Do that over there. Do your badass over there, but please don't do that in front of me, because at this point I have to find ways to calm myself down, because I know what you're truly part of. I know who is being this technology is harming, who is torturing, and what it's cost. So when I'm gonna see you and you act this way, I'm gonna remember this person, this shit in front of me is involved in this program that does these things, not only to me, to rewire my brain, and that's enough for me to just find aggression, but also do the foulest things to the most vulnerable people. Now, your gimmicks, your facade, your psyops is full over there. From close to me, from near me, it's back to reality, please. So I have to be thankful for me to have that perception and be able to see them for the true low life that they are. Reality is distorted, and they try to paint whatever. They have no shame. When I mean no shame, it's not no shame to torture people. They have no shame to create a fantasy of a reality that is so obviously bullshit. They have no shame. Like, they don't care if it looks stupid. Brothers some money. We're getting them. Shut the fuck up. Bunch of fucking low life out here torturing people and manipulating people's brains in this ways. They even have no shame. The way they manipulate, they try to make sense of it. It's like, no, but that's you. I admit it. It's trash. Can you imagine? They're gonna get theirs. It's okay. A lot of these bottom feeders are just nothings, right? They just childlike trash. They find the satisfaction of what's gonna happen to you, because what's gonna happen to you is for sure set, because you are just a test subject for the government, right? So they can find comfort in that, but it's not their doing. You're just a test subject. So these losers who, instead of looking at things that they're gonna find refuge on, oh yeah, you're gonna be tortured. Yes, I'm gonna be tortured because I'm a target individual. But you're a low life, you're trash and bottom feeders, and I still saw you for what you are. Just being involved in the program that can do these horrible things still makes you trash. Don't worry. You can play your nasty games. I reassure you, I'm gonna put that in your face. Target individual. You gotta be strong. You gotta know yourself, but you also have to be real. If you're a target individual who's dealing with the gang stalking, that's enough to push somebody into insanity. But when you start dealing with the most advanced technology, the sophisticated technology that a lot of target individuals deal with, when it comes to just harming your body remotely, but also manipulating your brain, we're talking about another level. This technology truly can rewire your brain. It is a very, very sophisticated technology that completely changes who you are. These bottom feeders are supposed to aid this technology to make you acceptive of this manipulation. So what's happening is you're being rewired, your brain is changing, they're changing your brain, they're manipulating your brain, they make you have this reaction, the stimulation, the sensations, whatever they want you to have to degrade you. Then they have this trash that comes in, say whatever script they have to say whatever, they do all these theatrics, whatever it is, to try to make you accepting of it. They have no shame. You know, one point what they do is like, no, but we're manipulating your brain. So it's your brain. Let me just translate what they try to say there. And this is what when they interact with me via V2K, that's what they're trying to say. It's your brain, meaning that, yes, we're changing your brain around, but what we're changing comes from your brain. So we're just playing with your brain in this fashion, but it's your brain. This shit truly wants you to start thinking this way. It's like, oh, even if we're doing things around, moving things there that shouldn't be there, but putting there, but it shouldn't be there, but we're moving this and adding this and putting this and this, it's within your brain. So it's you. It's your pedo. Can you understand? They're saying that by rearranging your brain, it's still your brain, even though we have to rearrange your brain. If something shouldn't be going there, but we're putting it there. If something shouldn't be there, but we're putting it there, and we're rearranging this and that, it's you. Admit it. Trash us. And they have no shame. That's what I'm saying when they have no shame. Can you imagine somebody says that? Imagine I'm in your brain. I'm in whatever. There's something that is yours. I'm putting there. I'm changing that. I'm removing this. I'm cutting this up. Putting it there. This. It's like, oh, hey. But you come out and you say, this is not what I have. It's like, did something change? Something was changed. It's like, well, it's still your thing, but I just changed things around. I moved it around, so it's no longer the same thing anymore. You changed it to something else. These people have no self-respect that they will even be like so confident too, like in this ways. I'm like, you think you have to be strong, because in some cases I could see some of these perps in front of me, and they have this attitude. I admit it, it's you. They use a lot of childlike people, but it's grown-ass people too, with this level of shamelessness. Trash low life. Can you imagine literally changing your brain and say, but even though we're changing, we're changing using your brain? You gotta look at this shit and be thankful that you're not them. Now, I understand why they love these things. We're talking about altering a human being. That's godlike things we're talking about. We're talking about the ability to make a human being something else, change that person, control that person. Now, of course, I can understand why this can be intoxicating, why they can start finding this empowerment, but they are trash and low life, and they have to sacrifice their self-respect for it. Some of them didn't have much already, so it's not much to lose. I can hear I know which one they are. Like, yeah, you already, the self-respect was not something in your priority. You didn't care too much about that in the first place. I'm gonna put that in your face. Like earlier today, there was this person. They forced me to get stimulations, and then you hear this child, like individual, talking to you, and she's like a kid, like she starts speaking in these ways. And I'm mimicking their voices when they interact with me via V2K. Listen. It is the weirdest to hear somebody who they're not all the way there talking to you, like they're like children almost. No, it's you. It's you. And they try to sound so innocent. Sometimes, listen, when they interact with you via V2K, voice to skull is that technology, right? Where they've been creating a technology and it's been around for a long time where they can literally pipe in their voices to your voice, to your head. So they can be all the way somewhere else in a different building, in different apartment somewhere, and you can hear them interacting with you directly to your brain, right? You hear a lot of target individuals say that it's actually technology that's been around for a long time called voice to skull. And so they utilize this technology too. And once they make you experience these things, they start saying things. And so for me, I have these childlike sounding people who like, oh my gosh, you don't even respect them. I think the agitation is perhaps what they try to get out of it. And they're like, oh no, it's so you and Mapte. And she's trying to sound innocent. It's so you. It's like trash ass. Oh. And they think they're like really like desperate to like wanting you. It's like, if I see you in person and you try to play this game, I will insult you in the ways that you can't even understand. I would be a trash I rather live in trash as a bum than living life doing what this trash do. The death is gonna come. You know how many people have died doing these things to me? Life start lifing. Diseases and things. This started right before COVID. Do you know how many people were involved? Like when you are a target individual, you have a whole ecosystem. A whole ecosystem around you. Wherever you go to another country, you'll see the same thing. Go to Africa, you'll see the same thing. It follows you everywhere in the world, right? And they have this network. It's a global thing. So a target individual can move anywhere and they will see the same things happening wherever they are. So I'm in this place in New York right before COVID. So you know a lot of people around me participating. COVID hits, who knows how many people died. New York was hit pretty bad with COVID, right? It's many deaths. I reassure you, some of the people who died were involved in doing whatever they were doing to me. They were observing, they're participating. So I know there's plenty who've died in the midst of me being tortured and watching me being tortured. So my point is, let this trash live this luxurious life that they live right now. The time will come. They sold their soul for this to empower themselves. Now we may they still try to like disorient me. I know the true entities behind this is obviously the Department of Defense. There is nothing that is close to the Department of Defense that can have the capability to have a global, local, international, national ability to create this kind of program with this level of funding and technology and sophisticated technology. There's nothing that can become close to that. So it's obvious that the Department of Defense is the entity sponsoring, running this program. This is Pentagon level entities like the Department of Defense. It's clear. They've been working on this technology, the V2K voice to skull, the EEG herding, EEG cloning, all this technology, the way to, they've been working on it since the 60s and even perhaps beyond before that, right? So it's clear. And it's happened to American men, women, children, not only American, globally, all around the world. So it's understood by me that it's obviously the Department of Defense. Now, but with that being said, it's for sure that other agencies are involved or aware, very much aware, and participating for sure, right? Because all entities, especially governmental entities, are involved in this. By far, if you see the perps that are involved in this, some retard college student from Colombia is participating. So you obviously know some FBI entity will know that. You know that some custom service, some immigration will know that. You know that. If some next door neighbor, everyday person, you understand. So for me, because the Department of Defense has had this issue, right, and issue in regard of this work environment, there's been a lot of pedophilia ongoing in this agency. This is reality. There's a bill called End National Defense Network Abuse Act because the employees at the DOD, at the Pentagon, were using the computers given to them by the DOD to download child porn. So much so that in 2018, before this bill was introduced, they were ranked for downloading so much child porn, using the network of the DoD, using the computers of the DoD. It's clear. There's a problem there. They tried to do something to make it look like they're doing something. All they're gonna do with this bill apparently was supposed to look at the computers provided to them, not their personal computers. Not why are they hiring so many pedophiles, no. To look at the people downloading child porn using the computers given to them by the DoD. That's it. Because there's so much of it that they were being ranked top tier. And this is not the first time this issue came up. It kept coming up for years after years after years. So there's a clear issue of pedophilia. Now, awkward for this low life. They are trying to paint me as a pedophile, right? They do that a lot with target individual. They do a lot of defamations. And when it comes to manipulations, because they can manipulate your brain, your body, they can force you to have stimulation easily, quite easily. Your thought process can be manipulated in ways that you can't even understand. With time, it even gets worse with you. It seems like this technology, once you hook to it, the more time they are in your brain, the more they can go into your brain in a deeper way, and control your thought process in another deeper level. Imagination, thought process go in ways that it becomes deeper and harder to differentiate from your own thoughts. This is what this program is about. This is what the Department of Defense is investing so much into this, because they continuously want to improve the technology that can control a human being. They're using this as a weaponized tactics. They're using these retards around you, these perps, to try to gaslight you, to torment you, to disorient you, to confuse you. They have no shame. They give me this opportunity to feel so genius, because I'm saying things that they really want me to not be onto. They want me to think, oh my gosh, these people are just like these Avengers. They're avenging. They're making it pay with their money. It's them clowns. They come in all kind of stories. Right now, the way they try to distance themselves from the Department of Defense, because of the issue of the pedophilia issues they have there, they're like, no, we're FBI. We're FBI. They're not, right? They just contracted trash. Now they contracted by governmental entities for sure, like the Department of Defense, through whatever buffers they have. But they're not the FBI. They're some trash that goes to school somewhere here. There's some neighbors that might be working over there. But this program employs civilians to partake, right? They can partake and utilize this technology and participate in these manipulations. The reason why they want to move away from the Department of Defense is because of the issue with pedophilia. And they're like, no, we're investigating. No, you're not. And the reason, what they try to do is, I got my citizenship, right? And I think the reason why they gave me my citizenship is because I was a target individual. I remember the person in charge of giving me my citizenship. I was walking in front of them. We're done doing the interview. I can hear behind me the person we just talked to with my lawyer talking to each other, and they're kind of talking about me. It seems like they were talking about me behind my back. I was like, okay, that's weird. It's like they interacting. I don't know, maybe, but now no, it's like, oh, they were talking about the fact that I was a target individual. It's like, yeah, this is gonna happen and this and that. They gave me the citizenship. They could have easily not given that would be the easy, right? So I know that being a target individual. Now the day when they gave me my citizenship, because the Homeland Security person was not available, they got the closest, biggest thing they could get was this FBI person. So he comes, he gives the certification to everybody, right? He gives everybody the citizenship. Here's your citizenship. Here's your citizenship. It's my turn. He stops. He kind of looks at me and then gives it and just like stares at me. And I grab it and I go, okay. It's like, yeah, we see we're FBI. It's like, no, he knew I was a target individual. Just like this person at the immigration knew I was a target individual. If trash low life like them are involved, anybody, and of course the FBI is involved or aware of it. This testimonies, family members say, yeah, we know the CIA, the FBI, all these entities are involved in this. Yes, because it's true. They obviously know about that. They partake in that, and they know who's funding this. They know what this is about. But yeah, the DODs are here doing this developing human experimentation. And they're using men, women, and children all around the world and doing this as developing of this technology. Now, these kids, this trash, this lowlife, these bottom feeders here, want to try to paint this fantasy because the reality is this. This is what this is about, and this is what they try to escape from. Is like this man said.
Controlled by government-sanctioned experiments. Is Cheryl Welch tell them?
This is about this woman, and that's so long ago. You understand? They've been doing this thing for so long. This woman in the late 80s, and she became a target individual. And she figured out this is like some government-sanctioned experimentation. Something's happening where everywhere I go, this thing's happening.
Claims absurd. Just another conspiracy theory that's impossible to prove. Maybe. But not if you listen to Nick Begich. I think there's some good evidence that Cheryl Welch and many of the other people I've spoken with have been victimized by this electromagnetic mind control experiments. The weapons of this century aren't bombs and bullets and ordnance, but electromagnetic energy targeting the human being, which is a greatest revolution in military affairs since gunpowder. Begich is an expert in government mind control. He is convinced the Pentagon has mastered a technology once thought to be science fiction, the ability to broadcast information directly into the human brain. Our government began spending a lot of time looking at how to modify behavior of human beings. Going back to the Korean War, in fact, in a publication, Low-Intensity Conflict in Modern Technology, they have a chapter on electromagnetic weapon systems, being able to not just debilitate someone, but actually even to stimulate certain activities within the brain.
So, you heard that. The government has been working on technology since the Korean War on how not only to debilitate a human brain, but also control and alter since the Korean War. And finding out that they can stimulate the brain in certain ways. That's back in the 60s. Now, it got to this point and it's much more sophisticated now.
If you can modulate a signal that the brain locks onto, recognizes, and begins to mirror or follow the frequency following response, the brain rhythms change, then it creates a chemical cascade within the brain and the emotions change. Now the resolution gets finer and finer and finer. And it used to just to be about triggering emotions. You can change people's brain chemistry pretty readily, change their emotional state pretty easily. But when you get down to the idea of thoughts, being able to manipulate those, that requires a different kind of sophistication. Can we use?
So, they've been working on this. They can easily make you have this emotion. This is natural. Well, they try to make me say something else to confuse me. They can make you have this nasty reactions that they force you to have onto children. Then they have this low life with no self-respect coming in, trying to disorient you, confuse you, and try to make you accept of these manipulations. They do that to our babies. They did this earlier today, and this is why this perp start talking toward like these kids here. Stimulating me, boom, intense sexual stimulation. Then they're supposed to gaslight me to make me think that it's natural. It's like, no, it's you, and we are war. Just start saying some random dumb shit, some clown shit, to try to make you accepting of this. I'm so thankful to God that I'm able to see things where they are, and they do everything to disorient you. And via V2K, you can hear them. You know, V2K is this. This is the technology I keep bringing up that's called V2K. She describes it very well here, and you've heard me say that before, but let her speak for what it is.
V2K, or voice to skull. This involves the projection of voices, noises, and music directly into my mind to communicate with me in real time, and at the speed of thought. And it also includes the manipulation of thoughts, emotions, and perceptions in the person's mind. Additionally, the targeting is all highly perverted and sexual. well as just
You understand? So, for me, is clear that this is what they're doing to me, right? And right now, they're creating mental battles, and there's a lot of that. They're truly using your thought process against you. They are playing your thought process. They control your thought process. These mental battles that they like to create to disorient you, to mess with you, like this.
Able to impose any information on the brain of a person, presumably by some kind of waves, which in the mind take the form of voices, thoughts, and images in imagination. In addition to this kind of implanting information that they need, they manipulate the psyche so that the information is written into your memory. Then by stimulating the certain regions in the brain, they can retrieve this information and present it as your own memory. This is the conclusion that can be made judging by the influence they have been making on me with their psychotronic weapons, for example, artificial thoughts, imagination, and mental torture.
Mental torture all the time. For example, right now, this is what's happening in this perps outside, supposed to create this in the theatrics. I'm with a date, I'm walking, and I'm seeing somebody in front of me. I can tell she's young, but I don't know how young she is. I'm like, she looks like a young adult. At least that's what. But she's very short height, right? But it's just a young adult who's like maybe a 5'2", something like that, right? And I'm with my dates, and I'm like, I ask her, how old do you think she is, right? She says, she gives her age, like, yeah, she's like young, like in her 20s. It's like, yeah, that's why I see her too, like 22, something like that. But in my brain now they're like, oh, because she, they could. You see the little kids that they force me to have stimulation toward, right? So you think at 22 they can do something? And I can, even as normal me, I can see a 22-year-old person in a sexual way or some in fashion of that sexual nature of some sort. But I can, she's she's not bad looking, but at the same time, like, yeah, she's a little too like kid-like for me, like too young for me, right? In her 20s or so. I make sure I ask my dates because I know that these people want me to live in this deluded reality. She clearly says she's in her 20s. Okay, well, whatever they force me to have, I'm looking at her because okay, you can make me have this easy perception, especially when she looks like in the 20s, early 20s. Today's like, no, but she's like, no, she actually, I believe that she was truly thinking like that, and I do think too, and I think she was right about the age, but it's a guessing game, right? But they can be like, oh, I see, that's not proof. It's like, clown ass. You have people who look like adults, or who are adults, young adults, and then be like, oh, you see, you think this, no. But this is the kind of mind games they play. Because this is somebody people think is an adult, right? My date thinks she's a 20-year-old. She does look like a 20-year-old. If you make me have this perception to this person, it's okay. And it's not that hard, right? And I'm looking, I was like, I would look at a 20-some-year-old in a sexual way. I've done that before, yes. But it's something about her that makes her a little too small, So I'm like, okay, but that's doable. That's something in my mind I can perceive if she looks like him, but it's not natural, right? And I'm asking my date, and my date confirms, and I was like, okay, I just wanted to make sure, because I want this low life to see how clowns they are. But today they're like, oh, but was she lying? Was she's like, no, I think that's what she believes. Now, is it true or not? That's a different question. But going back, what they do to these babies, the way they force me. You see these kids, babies with their little hijab, whatever, not hijab, but the veil on the head. What is it called this again? I'm losing my name. But stimulate me toward these babies. Clearly babies. So you get to understand what they can do. Now, going back to the thought process. Thought process are manipulated. They force me to get this nasty reaction toward babies, children, and want you to identify with it. They have these clouds here. This is what I call the trash. Well, let me just repeat that. They're just perps, and they come in all shapes and forms. This is some of this form they come in. and they're supposed to look at their phone. You see, when they look at their phone, but in fact, this person that was like who looked like a 20-some-year-old looking at her phone, she was like shaking her head. She was supposed to make me think, oh gosh, she's looking at her phone, so it's like, clown. Now, I'm looking at her when she does that, and I'm thinking, does she think that I look at her and respect her? Like, I don't know. I don't know how they can. Like, do they think that I look at them in a respectful? Would you respect somebody like this? Because they're looking at their phone. You're supposed to be like, oh, they're looking at their phone, so you're not being manipulated. This is how clown-like they are. But let's go back to everything else. Now, one thing they like to do is thought process. They rewire the thought process. They rewire thought process. Once they pipe in these voices, it becomes now a game of rewiring thought process.
Technologies that can pipe voices into an individual's head. And once you can do that, you can control them using neuro-linguistic programming techniques. You're rewiring their thought processes and brains.
So they rewire the thought process in brain. And that's what they do. And then they find ways to make you accepting of these things. It's so disgusting. Let me just show you how much of a rewiring they're doing. So, this is how nasty it gets. I saw this picture. In the back over there, you see this little baby. Ugh. This little baby. This look, I want you to see it in a better way. This little girl over there. The way they made me have this reaction, and right now just looking at her was dangerous because I got this sexual stimulation. They give me this stimulation and just aim it toward this baby and try to create this thing as if that's something I experienced when I was a kid, when it's not true. It's so nasty. Now they kind of change it up, but what they did, and I'm feeling the stimulation again that they're forcing me to have, they made me think of this little baby that's almost like her, but it looks smaller. She got a little tiny arm, and this little black girl. And I was in a supermarket somewhere not too far here, and they gave me the intense stimulations. Oh, then they started making me imagine. Okay, just imagine being the father of this baby's imagination, like they play, and I'm with my baby that they make me imagine this baby, and how like babies can play with you, and then they start creating some things that are sexual. They create, you understand, they create this imagination. If they're gonna start making you have these imaginations, they're gonna take it to some pedophilia things. They create this imagination, and like you see, that's your pedophilia. It's so nasty. And then you hear this person coming in, try to sound like serene. It's like, no, they are. I saw you. And they truly think that this trash can make you accepting of these pedophilia things that they make you experience. And they're like, no, that's your pedo, because they're like, no, but when you're a kid, didn't you feel like something like that as a kid? Remember that? And they start playing my brain, try to concoct things, bringing up me as a kid, try to put stimulation there. It's like, no, but you had the stimulation. Remember when you were 13 years old, and start playing things around in your brain. And you have this trash. It's like, no, they are. This trash that are renowned to do these things. And for me, it's just clear. They're involved in this.
Dramatic. It's somebody trying to end my life. It's somebody trying to end who I am as a person. It's somebody trying to take over my mind, putting thoughts of pedophilia. It's disgusting.
Jackie was saying thought of pedophilia.
Disgusting things. You saw where I was going with that first word. Disgusting things that I don't even want to talk about because it makes me sick. I don't even like those words in my mind. But it is what it is. So I have no choice now but to acknowledge that there are people in my surroundings or whatever.
So the people in our surrounding are the same people in my surrounding where they try to make you accepting of these things. Now I don't know if they're the one really like creating the stimulations, or they're just aiding, but the same scenario. And they do this pedophilia type of torture, and they play with your libido and your brains.
Is what is referred to as malodorance. This is the alteration of the smell sensation, so that I am often made to smell various things, including smoke, burning, dirty diaper, or baby powder, which they sometimes combine with the pedophilia type of torture, including the threat of planted dreams.
You heard the pedophilia type of torture. And then you hear this trash speaking in different language. I think they think the language they use makes me acceptive, because I do speak multiple languages. So they think that if I say in this language, it's going to sound more real. That we're not doing the pedophilia type of torture. That we're not forcing your brain. And they give these feelings and sensation, which I can feel my brain just like going. It's like, I know, you're just playing my brain. And just, ooh. And I can feel it right now. They can hit it. And when I see this baby, and target individual, one thing you cannot do is not identify with manipulation. They truly want you to accept this. For me, I put that in their face all the time. Because when we see each other, and they won't be like, oh, we're mapped and now it's you. Like, this is not me. I will not see this kid and feel the sensation. My brain has to be stimulated in certain ways to have these reactions. And you know what's the argument? It's okay, we have to stimulate, but it's in your brain. Yes, you are playing my brain this way. If you did not stimulate this part of my brain or do whatever you're doing to implant this sensation and stimulation, I will not experience that. That means that you're forcing me to have a reaction in order to degrade me. You're doing this pedophilia type of torture because you know that's something that's going to break me down. Now, what they do now, to validate themselves, they talk about, but what we do, right, we mapped it to you as a child. Because when you were a child, and they make me imagine the same imagination they create with the stimulation, with the end result they want. So, for me, it's frustrating, but I have to accept the reality of things. They're saying, we're making your brain, the brain of you when you're around this age. This is an 8th grader. They say, what we're doing is like we're mapping to you when you were a kid. You could feel like this when you were a kid. And truly want to make me think that this comes from like the age of that 13, 14-year-old age of this kid. Never. And the reason why they say that is because when I was a 13, 14-year-old, I did this damn thing. It was not like, oh, I got a stimulation. Oh, no, I did some, and they're mixing it up right now. I'm sorry. My brain is being played with. But I did this damn thing as an impulsive child at that age. That's it. Without this feeling that they forced me to have. Now they try to incorporate to be like, no, that's what you experience. You see? No, I did some damn thing, an impulsive act of a child. You're adding this feeling now to be like, oh, we mapped it to you as a kid. But I will never have this experience. This is an experience that you're forcing me to have. And then try to say, no, but this is what you experienced when you were a child. Which is on its own is retarded. First of all, why are you making the brain of an adult be the brain of him when he's a child? Why would you do that? It's obvious that a child's brain is undeveloped. So why are you making a brain that's already developed into a brain that's non-developed? Right? It's okay. That's their job. They have no shame. They do this pedophilia type of torture. They force people to get a reaction, and this is the same thing. You know this feeling they make me have? They made me have the same feeling toward a little dog. Like, you know this little small dog? A little dog jumped on my leg. And I felt the same feeling that they make me have toward these babies. It's so nasty. They play with your brain in so many nasty ways. And try to make me accept it. Right now, they try to implant this feeling they make me have to what I did when I was a kid. To be like, now we have to remember what you did as a kid. Now, what I did as a kid, it was an impulsive action. This feeling was not there. But they're combining these things together. To be like, no, that's what it is. What they're doing is they're forcing me to have sexual stimulation. And then they're combining to what damn thing I did to myself. Be like, you see, that's kind of similar. It's not similar. You are in my brain, falsifying my memories as a child, as a kid. That age. To make me accept for the things you do to me today as a grown adult man. They have no shame. And that's what they do. And they force people to have this nasty stimulation toward children and then try to find ways to make them acceptive of it. Listen to this. I hope you can listen to it. I'm not sure if it's going to be loud enough, but let's try this.
They'll have to put me down, and they are doing this. So I told them that I know what you are trying to do, and I started laughing.
I don't know if you heard that testimonial, which is very similar to mine. This woman was a target individual, is a target individual, and they start doing these things where they do this program perversion. They start doing that with her dog first. When she was petting her dog, she started feeling some sensation. Then they start aiming it toward people, young people and children and homosexual, which they've done that too, and forcing her to get these stimulations and sensations. Target individual, one thing is for sure, do not identify with any manipulation. I see them for the low life that they are. These people work for governmental entities where there's truly issue with pedophilia, which is clear there's a problem with pedophilia, to the point where people are saying these things.
Why are so many pedophiles allowed to be given top-level security clearance? Remember, these aren't just people walking in off the street and saying, hey, can I get hired, can I get a job? You're put through an extremely rigorous background check, screening process. It's called an SSBI, single scope background investigation. There are people, they interview you, they interview your family, they interview your contacts, they go through your online footprint, they go through everything. So why is it that when they're going through these footprints, they're not checking, these digital footprints, they're not checking for so many pedophiles getting through?
And they are in your brain, rewire your brain to the point where like, now we mapped it to your brain when they are ran by pedophiles. And they really want you to accept this. For me, I'm like, okay, let's look at each other. And by the way, they torture children too. Just to add that to it. It's like, no, it's you, and they start saying it in different language. So you fucking low life. They falsify reality, they falsify memories, and they falsify your reactions. They can create stimulation pretty easily. And this is a stimulation that they can easily create, as this man mentioned, since the Korean War.
Was the effect or follow the frequency following response? The brain rhythms change, then it creates a chemical cascade within the brain, and the emotions change. Now the resolution gets finer and finer and finer. And it used to just to be about triggering emotions. You can change people's brain chemistry pretty readily, change their emotional state pretty easily. But when you get down to the idea of thoughts, being able to manipulate those, that requires a different kind of sophistication. Can we use?
You understand? Emotions is all. I literally even sometimes feel like something cascading in my brain. Like I feel like some. I don't know if that's what he's talking about, but I feel like my brain, something just like, so they give me this stimulation, this intense feeling toward this baby, and I can feel this brain, just something just being stimulated and released. And then when it comes to try to make me experience that in my memories, they make me think of the dumbass thing I did as a kid, mix it together and be like, you see, that's what you experienced. You remember what you did? We mapped it to you as trash ass. Target individual, stay strong. But see the manipulation as what it is. Your brain is being altered. You, as a person, as a being, will not experience that unless your brain is manipulated with technology that can make you experience whatever feelings and reaction that they choose you to have. Whatever stimulation they can make you have. And then they're going to use this fucking trash. That can come in, sometimes they come as like, we're educated academic women, and so we know we're studying the brain and their memories. Shut up, you manipulate the memories in the brain. Like this man said, that's what they do.
Able to impose any information on the brain of a person, presumably by some kind of waves, which in the mind take the form of voices, thoughts and images and imagination. In addition to this kind of implanting information that they need, they manipulate the psyche so that the information is written into your memory. Then by stimulating the certain regions in the brain, they can retrieve this information and present it as your own memory. This is the conclusion that can be made judging by the influence they have been making on me with their psychotronic weapons, for example, artificial thoughts, imagination, and mental torture.
So before I shut up, before I can talk, because imagine putting that in their face every day. These people want to live this fantasy. They want you to start thinking this retarded way of thinking. So I'm expecting the worst. This nastiness, this low life that just use human beings as test subjects and just enjoying participating in a program where they can do that to human beings, including they torture children. This is what they do. This is how nasty this low life are, and the way you should look at this trash for. Forget about how easy it is. Anybody can do what they do. So the most unimpressive individual can do this. A child can partake. But understand that this child being groomed to be involved in something that is this or horrible.
Yes, Catherine Nestor.
My name is Catherine Nestor, and I'm from Pennsylvania. This commission has spoken of a long history of abuse of the human research subject. Although no one mentioned MK Ultra today, President Clinton recently apologized for this. My young child and I have been used as non-consensual test subjects. We have been subjected to COINTELPRO-like stalking, remote neural monitoring, and electromagnetic torture, resulting in psychological and physical damage. And I won't go into the details of that because I have 4 pages written in here that is very similar to Connie's testimony. Please do not wait 70 years to investigate this.
You know, she said 4 pages of the torture that she's going through. She said the number 4. And they want me to ignore that she wrote 4 pages about the horrible things she goes, because that's not much going on with her. They were like, oh, 4, man, but she has a kid 4 years old. Listen to what they do to babies.
One day, I also observed her gasping for air a few times in the same way that I do when I am being more severely suffocated. The suffocation had been in a mild state for a while up until this point. Many of their torture methods are cyclical in severity. Right after I saw this child being suffocated, then I began to experience very extreme suffocation all day, every day, for about 2 months straight, and that's also when they made it worse when I eat. Then I also work with a 4-year-old little girl with Down syndrome, as well as her 5-year-old sister who also has Down syndrome. I observed both of these girls suddenly grabbing their genitals in pain and verbalizing, ow. I observed this at least on 1 or 2 occasions for each of them during their separate sessions.
A lot of the torture you're going to hear is going to be sexual. They have a lot of sexual torture where they harm the genitals in the private part. This shit that is around you that try to present themselves in whatever facade they are, they involve in a program where they clearly harm children in the worst way you can imagine, sexually too. And you know this shit. And so when you see this low life, they try to create that fantasy and they alter your brain in these ways and try to give you this sensation, stimulation, and say now we mapped it to you as a kid, while they work for governmental entities that have issues with pedophilia, where they're involved in a program that torment children and harm children. And then they push people to lose their mind, their mind, pushing them to cause mass shootings. This trash, they're going to get theirs. So target individuals, see them as the low life. Just find strength to don't do anything. They're going to try to create a theatric of torture for me because they want to escape from the reality of what they part. But reality is going to come to them one way or another. And I spoke enough that even today, if I can't speak anymore, I'll put it out there too much. They wanted to present themselves like, well, this is our money on this and that. Never. I know who's running this. And this child like trash talking to me.
Information couriers, people that carry the V2K. So they'll say, we're the Russian government, we're the Chinese government, we're evil aliens, we're Satan's, satanic ritual abuse. And I've heard all the stories. One guy believed it was some 14-year-old kid with an Xbox that lived next door. The trickery really is that great when you're under hypnosis that people will believe something other than a massive government.
So they have this facades trying to present themselves as we're this, we're just we're not matching, we're mining your brain when this and that. It's disgusting. For example, this baby, they keep bringing her in my brain, give me this stimulation, this brain chemical being released in my brain. I don't know what it is, but it gives you, it's like when you drink too much coffee. Like they have these things of playing with different brain chemicals to give you a reaction that they want you to have. And then they have these clowns that gives you this stimulation. Like, no, but that's your stimulation. No, it's not my stimulation, because if it was my stimulation, I would not be forced to experience this stimulation. You understand? You're a trash low life that wants me to have this reaction to this kid and forcing me to have this stimulation by stimulating my brain in this fashion. But trash, don't worry, I see you for the low life that you are. That's your job to gaslight me into accepting these manipulations. These trash are so unimpressive. When you see them, it makes you even more angry because you find them finding empowerment in this. But it's okay, I'll put that in their face till the day comes. And when I can't speak, target individual, when I'm in pain, I'm suffering to the point that I just want to know, I'll know that I said whatever needed to be said. This trash that wanted to live this fantasy. No. You'll know that this stimulation and what they can make me have here, clearly it was mentioned that it was easy things to do. Easy things that they can do. Clearly, since the Korean War, they were talking about how easy it is. And these men, I'm so thankful that I was able to bring that up and put in their face.
Brain locks onto, recognizes, and begins to mirror or follow the frequency following response. The brain rhythms change, then it creates a chemical cascade within the brain, and the emotions change. Now the resolution gets finer and finer and finer. And it used to just to be about triggering emotions. You can change people's brain chemistry pretty readily, change their emotional state pretty easily. But when you get down to the idea of
Change the brain states pretty easily. And you hear this low laugh, this bottom feeders. He's like, try to disorient me. And then you see them in person. The little nothings. But these little nothings involve in a program where they can alter the brain in these ways. Clowns. I rather die in hell then live life doing what they do, working for pedos, harming children, then make yourself feel like you're a guy when you're just a pathetic low life that just find empowerment in these manipulations. To all my target, just stay strong.